Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive?
Absolutely. Always up for a good philosophical challenge.
Right. And this one, well, this one's going to really make us think. We're taking on Emmanuel Levinas.
Uh-oh. Big thinker.
Big thinker, big ideas,
Yeah.
specifically excerpts from his work, Totality and Infinity.
That title alone sounds pretty intimidating.
It does, doesn't it? But don't worry, I promise we'll break it down, make it super digestible for you.
Okay. I'm all ears.
So you're probably thinking, infinity, isn't that like a math thing?
Yeah. Numbers going on forever, that kind of thing.
Right. But Levinas, he throws us a curveball. He applies this idea of infinity to, get this, ethics.
Ethics. Okay, I did not see that coming.
Right. It's like, whoa, how does infinity relate to how we treat each other?
Definitely curious now.
Yeah, well, buckle up. Because Levinas says this idea of infinity can completely change how we understand our responsibility to other people.
Sounds like we're about to go deep.
Deep dive, as always, let's jump in. So one of the core ideas in Totality and Infinity is this contrast between, well, totality and infinity.
Okay. Makes sense so far.
But what do those terms actually mean, like in real-world terms?
Right. So totality is kind of how we usually experience the world, right?
Yeah.
Everything's kind of categorized, like we can grasp it, we feel in control.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Like the world's a puzzle, and we're slowly putting all the pieces together.
Exactly. But then there's infinity, and that represents, well, the other.
The other. So not just anyone, but someone specific.
Yeah, it's like someone who completely throws you off, someone whose experiences and perspectives you just can't fully understand.
Someone who kind of explodes our neat little category.
Exactly. They challenge that sense of totality we like to hold on to.
So infinity, in this sense, it's not about, like, counting forever. It's about the, I don't know, the vastness of another person.
You got it. It's acknowledging that each person is a universe unto themselves. Their thoughts, their feelings, all their experiences. We can never truly know everything about them.
Wow. Okay, so already my mind's kind of blown. But let's keep going. Levinas says that this infinity, this unknowable depth of another person, it's not something we should try to control.
Right. It's not about conquering or possessing. It's more about, how do you put it? Approaching it with awe.
Like we should be humbled by it almost.
Yeah, exactly. Like recognizing that we're encountering something truly profound, something way bigger than our own little world.
I'm starting to see why this is considered such a challenging but also, like, beautiful idea. But I gotta be honest, it feels a little overwhelming. I mean, is every single person I meet, like, carrying this weight of infinity?
Yeah, that's a question a lot of folks have when they first encounter Levinas. It can seem like, whoa, that's a lot of pressure.
Right, like how am I supposed to live with that kind of awareness all the time?
Yeah, it's not about living in this constant state of existential crisis, more about, well, cultivating a sensitivity to the other person.
A sensitivity. Okay, that makes sense.
Right.
But how do we actually do that?
Well, this is where it gets interesting because Levinas, he ties this sensitivity to something very specific, the face.
Hold on, you lost me. The face.
Yeah.
Like literally someone's face.
Exactly. Not just their personality or who they are, but their actual physical face.
What's so special about the face?
Well, think about it. The face, it's like the most exposed part of us.
Right.
You can't really hide your emotions there.
True. Your face kind of gives you away, even if you're trying to play it cool.
Exactly. And for Levinas, the face, it's not just something we observe. It's something that makes a demand on us.
The demand. Whoa. Okay, I definitely need you to unpack that one. What kind of demand?
Think about a time when you saw someone in need. And I mean, really saw them.
Okay, I think I'm following.
Not just like, oh, there's a problem to be solved, but like, this is another human being with their own story, their own whole universe of experiences.
Okay, yeah, I've definitely had those moments where you just, like, really see someone.
Right. And in that moment, you felt compelled to act, to help, even if it wasn't convenient or comfortable.
It's like you had no choice.
Exactly. That feeling of being called upon, that's the demand Levinas is talking about. It comes from the face of the other, from that glimpse of their infinity.
Whoa. Okay, I think I'm starting to see where this is going. So it's not about being polite or following rules. It's about recognizing a deeper ethical obligation to the other person.
You got it. And that obligation, it's not something we create. It exists simply because the other exists, because their face, with all its vulnerability and infinity, makes a claim on us.
Wow, this is really profound stuff. But I need a little more to grab onto here. How does this actually play out in real life? Like, can you give me an example?
Sure. Imagine a child asking for help.
Right.
You're not just fulfilling a need, you're responding to a whole person, this little being with their own thoughts and feelings that you can never fully understand.
I see what you mean. It's like you're meeting them, not just their need.
Exactly. Or consider something like volunteering. You're choosing to step outside your own bubble, addressing a need in the community. And in that act, you're acknowledging the infinity of those you're serving.
These examples really help make Levinas' ideas feel a little less abstract and a bit more, well, human. But I still keep coming back to this whole face is a demand thing. It feels, I don't know, a little unsettling. Do we really see infinity in every face we encounter? Like, what about the barista at our local coffee shop?
That's a great question. And honestly, it's one that leads us to some of the more, well, the more challenging aspects of Levinas's philosophy, because if we take this idea seriously, it really changes how we approach even our most mundane interactions.
I can already see how this is going to get complicated.
Definitely not a simple philosophy, but that's what makes it so fascinating. And that's what we'll keep exploring as we continue our deep dive.
It's so easy, isn't it, to kind of slip into that transactional way of thinking. You mean like, I'll be nice to you if you're nice to me. Yeah, I think we all fall into that trap sometimes.
Right. But Levinas, he's like, nope, that's not how this works.
He's challenging that whole idea of reciprocity.
Exactly. He's saying that ethical responsibility, it doesn't depend on what the other person does or doesn't do. It's just there.
Because the other person exists.
Right. Because their face, with all its vulnerability, with all that infinity we were talking about, it makes a claim on us.
So even in like those everyday interactions, even with the barista, there's this whole deeper ethical dimension going on.
Yep. And it's not about, passing or failing some kind of ethical test.
Because honestly, I just want my coffee and I'm out the door most mornings.
Right? We can't be expected to be ethically perfect all the time. That's not realistic.
Okay, good. Because I was starting to feel a little guilty about my morning coffee routine.
Levinas, he wouldn't frame it that way. It's more about cultivating an awareness
An awareness of what?
of the other person, as a thou, as he puts it, rather than an it.
A thou. What does that even mean?
It's like recognizing that they're not just some random object in your world. They have their own hopes and anxieties, their own dreams, a whole universe, like we were saying.
Okay, I think I'm getting it. It's like seeing the person behind the role.
Exactly. And I think it's something we all struggle with, especially when we're stressed or rushed.
Oh, absolutely. It's
Yeah,
so easy to just dehumanize people when you're just trying to get through your day.
Yeah, you reduce them to their roles, the cashier, the delivery driver, not a person, just a function.
And that's where that totality concept comes back in, right?
Bingo. When we try to fit someone into a neat little category, we're basically denying their infinity,
Trying to control or limit them with our own limited understanding.
which, according to Levinas, is inherently unethical. We're not doing them justice.
So on the one hand, we need categories to, like, navigate the world. But on the other hand, those categories can blind us to the ethical demands of each encounter.
It's a tough balance. And even Levinas, he grappled with that. He wasn't naive to the complexities of the world.
So how do we reconcile those two things? The need for categories and the responsibility to the infinity of the other person.
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah, it feels like a bit of a paradox.
Levinas believed that by prioritizing ethics, by acknowledging the infinity of the other person, that's how we move toward a more just and compassionate world.
Okay, I'm with you on that. But how do we actually do that? Like, it all sounds very profound, but I need some concrete actions here. What does it look like to live with this kind of ethical awareness in a world that's, well, let's face it, pretty unethical?
Yeah, that's the challenge, right? Levinas, he doesn't give us a step-by-step guide.
Oh, come on. A little guidance would be nice.
I think he does that on purpose. He's not trying to offer a rigid system of rules. It's more about this ongoing process, self-reflection, and a willingness to be challenged.
By the face of the other.
Exactly. It's not about grand gestures or becoming some kind of saint. It's about those smaller, everyday choices we make.
So it's not about, like, selling all your possessions and moving to a monastery.
Not necessarily, though, hey, if that's your calling. But for most of us, it's about those little things.
Like what? Give me an example.
It could be as simple as making eye contact with the cashier, acknowledging them as a person, or taking a moment to really listen to someone, even if you disagree with them.
So it's about recognizing that our actions, even the little ones, they have ethical weight.
Exactly. And that even those small acts can make a difference. It's a different way of moving through the world.
This is really making me think about, like, volunteering in a whole new light. It's not just about helping others, it's about encountering the infinity of those we serve.
That's beautifully put. It's a much deeper experience than just checking something off a to-do list.
Okay, I'm really digging this. But I do have to push back a little here. Isn't there a danger in, like, romanticizing the other?
What do you mean?
Well, what about situations where someone's genuinely harmful or dangerous? Does Levinas's philosophy account for that?
That's a really important question and one that's been debated a lot by Levinas scholars.
No easy answer there.
Not really. But Levinas does acknowledge that sometimes we need to protect ourselves or protect others from harm. That's part of reality.
And even then, we shouldn't lose sight of the other person's humanity.
Exactly. Even when we're setting boundaries or taking action to protect ourselves, we should still strive to act ethically.
Wow, that's a tough concept to wrap my head around.
It is challenging, no doubt about it. Levinas doesn't offer easy answers. He's not presenting some utopian vision where everything's perfect.
Okay, so more like a roadmap than a destination.
I like that, yeah. More like a guide for how to navigate the complexities of the world with all its messiness and difficulties.
So, after all this deep diving into Levinas, what's the key takeaway for our listeners today?
It really comes down to, I think, a shift in perspective.
A shift. Okay, I'm intrigued.
Yeah. Instead of, going through life asking that question, what's in it for me?
Right, that's kind of the default, isn't it?
It is. But what if we start asking a different question?
Okay, I'm listening. What's the question?
How am I being called to respond to the person right there in front of me?
Wow, that's really powerful. It's like completely flipping the script.
And that's what's so profound about Levinas. He's not just giving us a list of rules to follow.
Right, it's not just about being a good person.
No, it's way deeper than that. He's asking us to, change our entire way of being in the world.
To be more responsible.
More responsive to others.
Exactly. And I keep thinking back to our example of the barista.
Yeah, me too. It's such a simple interaction, but
But if you approach it as an ethical encounter, not just a transaction.
it changes everything.
Right. Suddenly it's not just about getting your caffeine fix.
It's about seeing the barista as a person.
With their own infinity, yeah. Even in that brief moment. I have to admit, this whole deep dive has really, I don't know, stretched my brain a little.
That's good. That's what philosophy should do.
Yeah, you're right. It's definitely challenged how I usually see things.
And that's the beauty of Levinas. He doesn't give us easy answers.
He gives us more questions.
Exactly. Provocations, like you said, things that push us to think deeper.
About how we live.
Right.
How we relate to each other.
Right. So maybe the takeaway here isn't about, mastering some complex system.
It's about cultivating that sense of wonder.
And responsibility.
Yeah, that openness to the infinity of the other person. Like you said, it's beautiful.
It is. And I think it's really hopeful, too.
Hopeful how?
Because it reminds us that even in a world that can feel so, focused on self-interest.
So transactional, like we were saying.
Right. Even in that world, there's still room for ethics.
For those moments of connection.
That remind us of our shared humanity.
That's a great place to end, I think.
Agreed.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Emmanuel Levinas. We hope it's given you something to think about. And to all of you listening out there, keep those questions coming. And keep diving deep.